Magandang umaga po, Pilipinas! Lalo na sa ating mga kasama dito sa Kalakhang, Maynila. Of course, naimbag na bigat dyan po sa gawing norte. Lalo na sa ating mga kababayan sa San Esteban, Ilocos Sur. And of course, mayong buntag sa ating mga kasama sa Cebu at sa Davao. Nagbabalik po muli ang inyong paboritong kasama sa Almusal, ang Power and Play with Noli Yala. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa Tibay, and of course ang Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Day 126 ng ating pagkaka-lockdown at patuloy po na wala tayong nakikitang pagbaba ng mga numero ng kaso ng nahahawahan po ng coronavirus. Kaya po mag-ingat tayo kahapon. Ang dami 1,800 na naman mahigit ang positive cases at umabot na po tayo sa 63,000 ang ating po mga kaso at meron po tayong active cases na mahigit 38,000 na. Kaya po ang ating mga ospital talaga namang nagkakandaw-gaga. Kaya po ingat-ingat . Alam mo, meron tayong mga nakikita na yung face mask nila nakasuot po sa baba. Yung face mask po, mga kapatid, dapat po tinatakpan ang ating mukha, ang ating ilong at ang ating bibig, lalong-lalo na. Hindi po natin isinusuot yan sa baba. Ang dami ko po nakikitang ganyan na ang face mask ay nasa baba. At siguro ito pag nagsasalita sila o di kaya pag ngunguya, pwede po yan. Basta ibalik nyo kaagad yung face mask ninyo. At lalong-lalo na po, pagka meron kayong kinakausap na at malapit, lumayo na kayo. Mag-face mask po tayo. Kahit po mahirap, yan naman po ay proteksyon para sa atin. Kahit po nung panahon ng Spanish flu, mga 100 taon na po ang nakalilipas, face mask po ang ginamit na panlaban. Kaya huwag po tayong mag-atubili na magsuot ng face mask. Yan po ang ating proteksyon. Kaya po, tayo ay merong ganyan para po sundin yung mga patakaran na yan. Tandaan, maghugas ng kamay, dumistansya, at lagi po tayo mag-iingat sa ating mga kapaligiran. Tandaan po natin, pag yan ay patuloy pong tumasa, nagbanta na ang Pangulo, na baka tayo ibalik sa MECQ. Pag bumalik po tayo dyan, nako, nagka-problema na naman tayo. Lalong-lalo na sa mundo po ng palakasan. Lalo po tayong umiikot dito. Lalo pong dumadami ang kaso, lalong nagiging problema ang pagbabalik ng ating mga paboritong mga liga at mga paboritong mga manlalaro. Kaya po, mag-ingat tayo. Pinag-uusapan ng mga manlalaro, ang mga liga. Well, ang malaki pong balita na lumabas kahapon at mga ilang araw na po ay yung problema na umabot sa PBA tungkol sa umano ay paglalaro ng Blackwater Elite ng practice sessions at sila po ay na-fine, nabigyan ng penalty ni Commissioner Willie Marcial ng 100,000. Dahil po dyan, naging nagalit at medyo nasaktan daw yung pong may-ari ng Blackwater Elite na si Mr. Josel Dosi. Sabi niya, and I quote, "I was offended, bullied, and pushed to the wall. We were excited when it was announced that practices would be allowed. We had 2 players shooting around. What's wrong with that? What did I violate?" Yan po yung una niya mga kataga. At hindi yata ito nagustuhan ng PBA, kaya po siya ay na-fine ng 100,000 at pinatawag pa ng PBA board. Ngayon, sinasabi na ni Commissioner Willie, parang nagtumatagilid pa yung kanilang pagsisimula dahil sa nagawa daw ni Mr. Josel Dosi at ng Blackwater Elite. Kaya po yan ang ating pupulsuhan ngayong araw pong ito. Pupulsuhan po natin yan. Ito po ang tanong. Dapat na nga bang, kasi ito po si Mr. Josel Dosi ay nagbanta dahil po sa nangyari niya na ibebenta niya yung kanyang team, yung kanyang pong prangkisa ng 150 milyon piso. 150 million pesos po yung kanyang price tag. At sabi niya, ayoko na. Ako'y sisibat na dahil dito sa mga kaganapang ito. Kaya po ang ating pupulsuhan, dapat na nga ba na ibenta ng Blackwater Elite ang kanilang PBA franchise? Tama na ba ho yan? Tapos na ba ang panahon ng Blackwater sa PBA? Dapat na nga bang ibenta ng Blackwater ang kanilang team sa PBA dahil sa mga nangyaring ito? Pulsuhan po natin yan. Ha? Kung gusto niyo po makasama sa ating diskusyon, mag-text lamang sa aming hotline 0949-691-4956 o di kaya mag-post sa aming Facebook page Power and Play at sa Facebook page po ng Radyo 5 92.3 News FM. Gusto niyo mag-send din kayo ng mga sagot ninyo sa aking Twitter, Noli Iyala. Twitter po yan at sundan niyo po ako sa Instagram, Noli Iyala. Again, pulsuhan po natin yan. Dapat na nga bang ibenta ng Blackwater Elite ang kanilang PBA franchise? Alright, mga kaibigan, ngayong araw po ito, marami tayong pag-uusapan as usual. Ang dami po nating nakapanayam na atin pong ipapakita mamaya. Kasi kailangan natin ng konting adjustment sa oras dun sa iba. Pero mamaya po makakausap natin ay dalawang very interesting na sports broadcasters. Mga paborito ko yan. Bagamat hindi kami nagkasama kahit kailan, talaga naman pong dalawa yan sa mga paborito kong mga sports broadcasters. At sila po ay nadamay doon sa problema ng ABS-CBN Broadcast Network. So, kakamustahin po natin ang ating mga kaibigan sila Boom Gonzales at si Boyet Season mula po yan sa ABS-CBN Sports. Ganyan talaga tayo. Pwede naman po tayong umabot sa ating mga kaibigan sa kahit na ano pong istasyon yan. And of course, kakamustahin din po natin ang ibang mga personalidad ng sports. Si Angelo Kwame po, yung Ateneo big man na ngayon ay napipintong magiging naturalized player ng Gilas Pilipinas. Makakapanayan po natin yan. PBA Commissioner Willie Marcial, kasama din natin mamaya. At si Mr. Ricky Palu, ang presidente ng Premier Volleyball League. Ano ba ang nangyayari ngayon dyan sa PVL? Yung isa sa dalawang professional, hindi naman professional, pero volleyball leagues na talagang sinusundan natin at kung saan naglalaro ang napakaraming magagaling na volleyball players. Pero bago po yan, sa ating unang panayam, makakausap po natin ang kauna-unahang US NCAA Division I head coach na meron pong dugong Pinoy, buong dugong Pinoy, ang kanyang mga magulang parehong Pilipino. Yan po si Coach Mike Magpayo ng University of California, Riverside in just a short while. Oh, by the way, mga kaibigan, again, gusto po naming paalalahanan kayo, tuloy-tuloy po yung aming proyekto dito sa Power and Play, yung Power and Play Padjak. Ito po yung aming padjak sa pagbangon, bisikleta alay sa iyo. Ito po ang aming give back project para sa ikalawang anibersaryo ng Power and Play. Marami na po kami na ipamigay ng mga bisikleta. Ang huli na dalawang recipient ay si Romeo Mondihar at si Celeste Medes na nakatanggap po last week. Tuloy-tuloy po kami mamimigay ng mga bisikleta. Alam niyo naman po sa panahon ng pandemya, ngayon pong panahon na napakahirap ng buhay, napakahirap po ng pagtatrabaho, kulang sa transportasyon, kami po ay natutuwa kahit papano ay makatulong sa mga nangangailangan. Yan po ang ating mga nabigyan ng mga bisikleta, si Romeo, si Ma'am Celeste na ibinigay sa kanyang asawa. Nung isang linggo, sila Delphine Lacsinto at si Alex Dulva. At ngayon po, dalawa na naman ang ating bibigyan. At i-anunsyo po namin yan mamaya-maya. Kung gusto nyo pong magkaroon ng pagkakataon, makakuha ng bisikleta, napakadali lang po mag-like lang po ng aming Facebook page ng Power and Play. Mag-subscribe po sa aking YouTube channel. Nagpapasalamat ako sa lahat po ng mga subscribers ko. And of course, sumagot lang po dun sa dalawang katanungan na bakit nyo po kailangan ng bisikleta ngayon pong panahon ng pandemya at sino po ang inyong sports idol. Lagyan nyo po ng hashtag na Power and Play Padjak at i-post po sa aming Facebook page. At kami po ay babasahin namin yung mga sagot ninyong yan at magkakaroon po kami ng komite para magdesisyon doon po sa mga makakatanggap ng bisikleta. So, again, tuloy-tuloy po yan hanggang next month. Meron pa tayong ipamimigay. Alright, mga kaibigan, at this point, uunahin ko na muna kasi nandiyan na pala. Andiyan na pala yung ating kaibigan. Walang iba kung hindi ang presidente ng Premier Volleyball League na ngayon ay, of course, malalaman natin kung ano pang ginagawa nila para sa pagpapasimula muli ng volleyball sa ating bansa. Walang iba kundi ang aking kaibigan, si Ricky Palou ng Premier Volleyball League o PVL. Good morning, Ricky.
Magandang umaga, Noli, at saka sa mga nanonood at nakikinig sa programa mo.
Thanks so much for coming on, Ricky. Alam ko na pag Sabado, medyo relax. Kaya bibigyan kita ng panahon din mag-relax. It's good to see you. You're looking good. Ano, kamusta? Hindi ka naman naglalabas?
No, we're staying home, Noli. Delikado lumabas, di ba? We've got to, sumunod lang tayo sa protocol ng hinihingi ng gobyerno para maayos lahat, di ba?
Very good. Alam mo, maganda sinabi mo yan para naririnig ng ating mga kababayan. Lalong-lalo na yung mga mahihilig sa volleyball. Galing na po yan kay Mr. Palou. Ricky, I just wanted to ask, what are you doing? Anong ginagawa ngayon ng PVL to help the restart ng volleyball?
Well, unang-una, we're trying to get permission from the IATF to start, to be able to request the IATF to give the teams permission to start working out, of course, following their protocols, which is medyo mahirap yung mga protocol guidelines nila, no? But at least it will keep the teams and the players in shape for when the league finally is allowed to given permission to compete among each other. No?
You're doing this, of course, in coordination with the LVPI, no, Ricky?
No, we're doing it on our own because
on your own, okay.
LVPI, we're hoping they also work on it, but we don't know if they're doing anything about it. We haven't been informed about anything. So we decided to do this on our own.
Okay, so in that case, ano ang specific that you did, latest moves na ginawa ng ng PVL? Did you actually write the IATF already? At ano yung mga protocols na tinitingnan ninyo, Ricky?
Well, unang-una, we haven't written, we made a draft and then we've been revising this according to the requirements of the IATF, which includes testings, rapid and swab testings, distance, keeping the distance requirements of when they practice. Of course, they won't be able to practice all at the same time. It will be individual practices. We're asking them to allow the teams to have 5 players every practice. And this, aside from these 5 players, there will be a coach. And the IATF requires that there be someone that will be monitoring how the protocols of the IATF are being followed. And there will be these persons will be required to give periodic daily reports on the status of the practices of the team. So we're hoping the IATF will allow this, and I think we'll have to work through the Philippine Sports Commission to get this approval.
All right.
So right now, that's what we're doing.
Alam natin, Ricky, that the PVL is also composed of collegiate teams. You also have some commercial teams that are with you. Of course, ang collegiate season is on hold. We don't know what's going to happen with the UAAP and the NCAA at this time. Pero yung mga teams ninyo, na mga commercial teams, we heard from the PSL, for instance, last week na they have requested that certain salaries be cut down a little bit. Kayo ba may mga ganung policy na you are slashing or cutting the salaries of your contractual players, Ricky?
No, we have not imposed any of those on our participating club teams. We leave it up to them to negotiate with their players. No? It's not an imposition from us. They may or they may not renegotiate the contracts they have with their existing players.
All right. Of course, one of the biggest developments today has been the shutting down of the sports division of ABS-CBN. And alam naman natin yan. Yan ay nasa sa balita ngayon. And alam natin, ang coveror ng PVL is the ABS-CBN Broadcast Network. Ano ba ang unang-una? Ano ang reaction ng PVL? And at the same time, what are the plans for the future para sa PVL, Ricky?
Okay, first of all, we received word yesterday from ABS-CBN through Dino Lorana that they have shut down their sports division in ABS-CBN. So this leaves us no other option but to look for another network to cover our games. We're in the process of doing that. We're also consulting the teams on what they think about this and if they have any preference for who's going to be our coverer. When we finalize all these details, we'll talk to the different networks and see who's willing to give us who's willing to cover our games. That's as far as we've gone so far. We've made contacts with some of the networks, but nothing definite yet.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing na wala pang laro. So there's time to prepare and I guess to negotiate and opportunity really to fix this situation na hindi naman yung inaasahan, I'm sure, no?
Yes, we never expected this.
Oo. Now, okay, let's go to another topic, and this is the topic of the unity talks between the PVL and the PSL. We talked to Chairman Popoy last week, and what is the latest on your end, Ricky? Are you still pushing the agenda of the unity between the PSL and the PVL?
Yes, we're looking at the Unity Cup, and I'm discussing this currently with the club teams that are in the PVL. There's some issues that have to be resolved. You know, the proposal is for both teams to have competitions all together. You know, like they have 8 teams, we have 9 teams. All these teams will play against each other, which will take about 3 months to conclude all the way to the finals. Our feeling is this is too long because if we get into this type of commitment, then we will have to give up one of our 2 conferences.
Conferences,
As you know, the PVL has 2 conferences every year, and if we go into set up with a format that the Unity Cup is proposing, we'll have to give up one of our conferences. So this is what I'm discussing with the team owners now. If they're willing to do that. If they're willing to do that, fine, we'll go ahead with the Unity Cup. It should be good for volleyball in the long run.
Well, that is very interesting. And of course, it will be good also for the national team na sinubukan na naman nating pagsamahin yung mga magagaling na volleyball players ng ating bansa. Well, you know, Ricky, I wish the PVL all the best. I certainly hope na magsimula na ang volleyball because it's a non-contact sport. So, you know, siguro naman kahit kung ang pinayagan ng basketball at pinayagan ng football, volleyball should be right around the corner.
Yeah, we're hoping for that too, Nolly. And we hope the IATF will consider giving us permission to work out, for the teams to work out.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Good luck, Ricky, and we'll keep in touch. Magbalitaan tayo about the PVL very soon.
Thank you, Nolly. Thank you for inviting me to your program. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Thank you very much.
Stay safe, pare. All right, mga kaibigan. Yan po si Mr. Ricky Palou, ang presidente ng Premier Volleyball League at ang mga plano nila. Sabi nga niya, tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang plano. Mabutit walang tinatanggal na sweldo sa mga players. That's very, very good para sa ating mga manlalaro at this point. All right, mga kaibigan, right now, ako excited tayo because tuloy-tuloy po ang ating pakikipagpanayam. We have with us on the line, he is the first Filipino to become a head coach in the USNCAA Division 1. Yung puro pong Pilipino. Ang dugo niya ay Pilipinong-Pilipino. Both his parents are of Filipino descent. Walang iba kundi ang head coach ng University of California in Riverside, Coach Mike Magpayo. Good morning in Manila and good afternoon in Southern California, Mike.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning to everybody.
Very nice to see you. I'm happy that we were able to get you on board. It took a while, you know. We had to go pass through a lot of customs clearances in your school.
You know what? They put me through training and they wanted me to be on message, but with you guys, I'll wing it. You know,
Thank you so much. It is big news here in the Philippines to finally have a head coach of the U.S. NCAA that is of pure Filipino descent. So let me ask you first, before we go to all of these things. I've read your statements of how you welcome this opportunity, but let me go back a little bit, Coach Mike, about your roots. Where do you trace your roots in the Philippines?
My parents, my mom and dad are both born there. They're from Pampanga. Pampanga, yep. And my dad, Lito Magpie or Calixto Magpie, but Lito is what everybody calls him. He was he actually worked at ABS-CBN, you know, so he's the one who updated me. That's where my mom and dad met, actually. They were very young. They met at ABS-CBN. My mom is a Tino. My grandfather, Abelardo Tino, was a general in the military there. And he's one of 8. There's 8 girls, 8 Tino sisters, and they all moved to America at some point. But yeah, you know, that's I've been there twice myself. My parents have showed me around, and they have a condo in Makati. And so, I've been a couple times, and that's where, I've gotten to see.
But Coach Mike, you were born in the U.S., so you grew up in the States.
Yes, I was born in Los Angeles, California. Right. First of the kids to be born here.
There was actually a PBA player who was drafted during my time when I was commissioner of the PBA. There was a PBA draft player that was drafted in the second round back in 2004, I think. His name was Alvin Magpayo. Is he related at all?
Really? I did not know that. No, I try to follow up with all the Magpayos because it is a unique name. I always describe that, we're related to Deli Magpayo because that's what my dad says people would understand over there. But no, I didn't know that there was a basketball player named Alvin.
Well, interesting, and I'm sure now he's going to be your relative in some way or the other. All right. This tag of being the first U.S. NCAA Division I head coach with a Filipino or a full Asian or Filipino descent. This is obviously something that is exciting for all of us. But for you, what does it really mean, Coach Mike?
It's what's crazy is how much love, and first of all, my family's so proud. My mom and dad, obviously, but they're getting so much love from the Philippines, via Facebook. So, like you said, my mom says, "Oh, I got so much more family that's reaching out to me now." And then just because Coach Spoelstra was my inspiration. That gave me the hope that I could do it. I think I can do it. And pretty much the coolest thing that's happened to me is 2 days ago I get this random text message from a 305 number, which is in Florida, and it was from Coach Spoelstra. Somebody gave him my number, and he sent me a congratulatory text and said represent. He told me to represent, and he said Coach Spo, and I was like, oh my God! And the first thing I did, I sent it to my family, and I was so happy. So it means a lot. I'm honored and humbled, and I hope I make us proud.
Well, I've read that aside from Coach Spoelstra, Brad Stevens was also somebody that you idolized, and you is an influence in your coaching career. When you talk about your coaching career, did you always dream of becoming a coach, or did it ever cross your mind about even playing professionally during that time?
Yeah, I became a coach because I wasn't good enough to play professionally. So I got, I was in college at UC Santa Barbara, which is here in Southern California.
That's right.
I started coaching at a young age. A college coach said, "Do you want to coach junior high?" And I started coaching 8th grade boys, and I coached high school basketball for the next 10 years. But I was really, I was in the business world. I was running a real estate company and I was in the business world. And what I did, I just saw Coach Spoelstra and Brad Stevens, who was similar. He had a business background, and then all of a sudden he got into coaching at the Division I level in the NCAA. And I got lucky. Part of it was I wrote letters to everybody in New York City. I was moving there to get my master's in real estate at NYU, and and I got a response from one coach. I wrote letters all the time, but one coach responded. His name was Kyle Smith, and he was the head coach at Columbia. And I volunteered for a couple months, and he ended up hiring me. So did I think that this was going to happen? You never know. It's so hard. There's only 353, maybe 2 more coming, so 354. But 353 Division I head coaches. There's 30 NBA head coaches. It's hard. It's really it's hard. So it's special. It's a dream come true. But now I'm just ready to I want to practice. I hope that we play.
Well, that's true. So, one of the things that truly impressed me when I read through your file, you were an assistant coach for quite some time with very big schools, Columbia, Campbell University, University of San Francisco. But more than that, it was the way all of these teams developed and became better with you around. Obviously, with the University of California in Riverside, you were top 10 in defense. You came up with 17 and 15 record last season, the best in your school. I want to know, what is your coaching philosophy, Coach Mike? And what are you trying to instill in your team in the forthcoming years?
First of all, that's something I'm very proud of, that every single place I went to, we started the program. Columbia, the coach just got the job. Campbell, the coach just got the job. San Francisco, Kyle Smith, who was at Columbia, hired me back at San Francisco, and we just got the job. And then UC Riverside just got the job. And every single place we built it into a winning program. My philosophy is not going to be that much different. I was a defensive coordinator last year. So I'm going to be tough. We're going to be tough. We're going to be big. You can see right there in the picture, we got a lot of big guys. We got 2 7-footers, 2 6'11" guys, and 2 6'10" guys. So we're big at every position. We're nobody's shorter than 6'3" on our team. So that's why we're so good defensively, because we're big and we're long.
Yeah.
On the offensive side, and this is the people that I've been influenced by, I want guys who can shoot the 3. And that'll be a big part of it. And play a little more free-flowing on offense, and I'll let them go a little bit, as long as on defense, which is where I lean anyways, as long as they give me everything they have defensively. So that'll be my philosophy. We'll hang our hat defensively, and then I'll let them play and just kind of flow offensively. I hope so.
Well, that's interesting. Can you name a few notable players that you've coached through your years that are making names in the NBA? Not too many Filipinos know the players that have been under you, actually.
We at San Francisco, we had an awesome player named Frankie Ferrari. Just his name was great, but he's in the first league in Europe. But at Campbell, I was fortunate enough to recruit and coach a kid named Chris Clemens, and he's only 5'9". But he's on the Houston Rockets now. So he's on the Houston Rockets the last year. This was his first year as a rookie, and he was signed on the Houston Rockets. And then when I was at Columbia, there was a kid named Maodo Lowe that I recruited from Berlin, Germany, and he was with the 76ers for a couple years. Now he's with AB Berlin in the first division in in Europe.
Very interesting is the fact that when you mentioned about your business, you were the president of a multi-million real estate company, as described, and you left that for coaching. Obviously, your passion. But are there any things that you learned from business, from corporate governance, that you are applying, and at the same time, some things that you learned from coaching that you think is very good for business?
Oh, I think they definitely intersect. I think my role, there were 2 of us that started and founded this company and ran this company. Now I'll say this, it was during the mortgage boom in 2000, 2004, 2005, 2006. So everything was growing. Everybody was doing well. We had 40 employees, but my role was to manage and to lead our sales staff and to train our sales staff and to manage the company and manage the people. So it's very similar. It's just coaching people, coaching and motivating a group, keeping a positive, encouraging atmosphere. The same thing in coaching a basketball team. So that translates right away, both sides. Stuff that I learned coaching applied to my business and vice versa. Now that I'm a head coach, some of that stuff is just immediately applicable. In the first 2.5 weeks here, just managing my staff, delegating responsibilities. That stuff kind of comes naturally to me. Collaborating with my athletic director, Tamika Smith-Jones, who's a pioneer in her own right because she's had the courage to make this groundbreaking hire, and that's a big. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about hiring minorities right now here in America. There was 0 Filipinos or Asians, and she just made the first. So I'm so grateful to her. But yeah, it definitely translates. It intersects a lot.
There's another thing on your resume about starting a coaches association for Asians in the U.S. The Asian Coaches Association in the United States. You started this. I read that it has grown into a big membership. Again, why did you start this, and how has this helped Asian coaches?
In 2012, I was sitting in the office, and the Columbia staff that I joined when I started has become a really powerful staff. The head coach, Kyle Smith, he's now the head coach of Washington State. One of the assistant coaches is Kobe Altman, who's now the general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA. So we were sitting in the office. This is a true story, and they are both members of the Jewish Coaches Association, who have a meeting every year at the Final Four, at the NCAA Final Four March Madness convention. They said, "Why don't you start the Filipino Coaches Association?" And my joke was like, "Coach, there's 2 of us in America. There's Eric Spoelstra. Nobody would show up." So we came up with the Asian Coaches Association. In the first meeting, if there's pictures on my Instagram, you'll see that we had like 15 people show up. But over the years, when I figured out, there was only like 7 Asian coaches that I could really, what I figured out was like, if we could, I had an open bar. I turned it into an open bar in the following years, and I got sponsors that wanted to contribute to help Asian coaches. And I invited anybody because I thought that if there's like currently in Division I basketball, there's probably in the teens, maybe like 15 in Division I men's basketball, maybe 15 Asian coaches on just assistants, just members of the staff. But it wouldn't help us if the 15 of us were just networking and supporting each other. So I invited everybody because I thought it would help us network with everybody in college basketball. And now it's grown to, we have a Zoom every Wednesday at 2:30. I'm actually presenting next Wednesday. And the coaches, it's 50 to 100 coaches show up every Wednesday at the Final Four. On the men's side, we get 150. And Coach Spoelstra showed up when they were playing in Minnesota at the Minneapolis Asian coaches meeting, which was a thrill for everybody. Everybody went wild. He just popped in for 5 minutes and then he went to his game. So I just want to support, everybody that has this dream, every Asian coach that has this mission to grow in coaching. So that was the goal.
That's interesting because, it's probably going to be very helpful as well for our local coaches back here in the Philippines to join some of your sessions on Zoom, because a lot of our coaches, now that there are no practices going on, I think they're trying to hone the craft a little more by joining all of these webinars. And talking about Philippine basketball, Coach Mike, do you follow Philippine basketball at all?
So in 2015, the second time I went, we do have Filipino coaches on our Zoom, like Don Olado has been on.
Don Olado, okay, yeah.
He came and visited me here and watched us practice, actually. When he was visiting his family. But yeah, as far as just what was the question? I forgot.
Do you follow Philippine basketball?
Yeah, what I'm saying, in 2015, I went back there because I asked my mom and dad, I was like, listen, I want to go back and my dream is to coach there one day.
Really? Wow.
Well, I would love to help out. And I always joke around, like, everybody gets fired, like everything. Even Phil Jackson got fired. The only guy who hasn't gotten fired is Popovich and Spoelstra. But the joke is, like, one day I'll be fired, and I would love, but maybe coach in Europe. But I've always wanted to help the Philippine national team. I keep in touch with Josh Reyes, who I met when I got out there. Him and I always forget his name. He has a brother, the 2 brothers that are coaches. I know. I forget his name.
No, Gregorio.
No, they're both, yeah. Well, I know the other one. What's his name? He's thinner. I know. Shoot, I have a picture with him right here. I should show you the picture. I went out there in 2015 because I wanted to understand Philippine basketball and understand the landscape. I went to, and my family took me to, a couple PBA games. Actually, a young analytics coach at the time, Paulo. I forget his last name. I just did one of his.
Paulo. No.
Paulo Layog.
I don't remember, but you
Paulo
know,
Layog. But anyway, and so I met Coach Alex Compton because he is from Cornell, and I
Alex,
was
yes.
and so I got to watch one of their games, Alaska Aces games. And then at the time, Tab Baldwin was the national team coach, so I got to watch some practices. So I followed along and I started to understand the landscape. And again, it's just something that I hope happens.
What is your impression of Philippine basketball, Coach Mike? I mean, the local style.
You know, the funny thing is we have 2 Australians on our staff. My former boss is Australian, who hired me. So he'd always joke around. He's like, no, after that big brawl,
Fight.
he's like, no fights in the office, guys. No fights in the office, all right? And I coach. We have 9 players from Australia and New Zealand. That's actually
really.
That's why we've been successful. And that's where we get, we have some size and some really good players from there. So it's my impression is we're tough, just like me. I hope, we're tough. We're gritty. We play an unselfish style of basketball. And I kind of watch the national team stuff more and those levels. We have really good guard play, good guards. Our bigs sometimes undersized, but they're skilled. I had a favorite power forward there when I was visiting in 2015 that also played on the national team that I like, and I always forget his name. And he was pretty skilled, and he could make the passes, and he had nice touch. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's growing, and I think it's great, and I think it has a chance to continue to be really good.
It's interesting that you mentioned that you have Australians on your team, obviously overseas players who have joined your program. A lot of local players have tried their luck in the U.S. Talk about Japet Aguilar, for instance, who went to Western Kentucky. We had Kobe Paras a few years ago who went to Creighton, and a few others, but they have not been as fortunate as some of the other foreign players foreign students have come over there. Why do you think is that so?
Well, again, so Kobe Paras, he was in LA, and I watched him play when he was young. And he was a very good player, very athletic. And, I know I try to follow all the Filipinos, even Filipino Americans, and even the Canadian Filipino. There's one, Christian David, he's at Butler. And then obviously Kai Soto was heavily recruited before he decided to go to the G League. So I just think it's a matter of time. It's going to happen. We just haven't had, just like this, Eric Spoelstra was first, and then now, it's just going to happen. And so I think you have to find the right fit. Kobe, he was initially committed to UCLA, and then he goes to Creighton, which is another big-time basketball program, and then he came back to Northridge. So maybe the fit was to go to Northridge to start, where you can play and develop, and then if you discover that maybe I'm too good, then you can go to UCLA. If people transfer here, probably too much. But it's going to happen.
It's interesting that you mentioned Kai Soto. He's now playing in the G League. You said that he was highly recruited. Do you think that this was a decision that was no? What do you think? What do you think about that decision? Rather than going to the US NCAA, do you think that it would have helped him, especially if he went to University of Kentucky?
He could have gone there. I mean, I don't know if he would have. I mean, I don't know who. I know a lot of my friends who were at the higher levels were always asking me about like I had any influence on it. And I was like, listen, I'd love to get him myself if I could, but it's to be determined because this is new. The G League is new. Even the Filipino American Jalen Green, he's going to the G League as opposed to going to Duke or wherever. Or Kai, same thing. But how can you not get good if you're getting coached by professionals? Like Brian Shaw's coaching, the former Lakers coach and Indiana Pacers coach. He'll be coaching the one here in North where Jalen Green's going to play. So you're going to be getting developed as a professional. Now, the only thing is this, is like you got people here in America, just like the Philippines, you go to college, just like I did, to develop as a man. You turn into an adult. You learn how to do your laundry. You learn how to make your own food. You're 17, 18. You're going against pros. Man, when I was 18 years old, I was not ready to, you know what I mean? Like to be.
Yeah.
So college is the best experience. It's 4 years and it's beautiful. Like here at UC Riverside, sunny, 20,000 students. You get to learn how to mingle with girls and make friends. Really, college becomes your network of people you do business with in the future as well.
Right. It really pushes your timetable a little bit more, stepping into college. And talking about college and University of California, Riverside, what are your goals, Coach Mike? You're there now at the helm. Of course, we're looking at the plans to restart, but just in case the basketball is back, what are your immediate goals for the Highlanders?
Well, we've been working hard on the Zooms, right, which isn't the same thing. The first thing we did after the transition was I wanted to make sure that we retained all of our players, which we've had success. We have had 100% retention, so all the guys have recommitted to the program with me as head coach, which is great. I'm very thankful. Really, I tell them I'm just the keeper of this program because we have a really great group of guys, very talented. We have a talented group of players. Coach Patrick, David Patrick, the coach who left me he left me a full cupboard, so we really have a chance. So expectations will be high. Some people have us picked, in the top 2, top 3 in our league. And if you win, if you're number 1 in your league, you get to go to the NCAA March Madness, which is the goal, right? You want to win the Big West Conference championship so you can go to the NCAA tournament. For me, I don't shy away from it. I just think that we have to have that expectation in our mind. We'll work. We won't talk about it all the time, but that's the goal. Everybody knows it. We're looking to be the champions so that we can go to the NCAA. So that's the goal.
I know that you will be there for a pretty long time, given the record that you have had and the success that you've had in every place that you've been to. So we're certainly hoping that you top the Big West and you make the NCAA. Makes us a little more proud. But one thing that I want to ask though, and I think a lot of Filipinos back here will be asking is, would you ever want to coach in the PBA or at least even in the Gilas program of the Philippines?
Absolutely. It would be that's another dream of mine, and really because I always talk to Josh, Coach Reyes, and I follow Coach Chot's like leadership stuff. I read his stuff. I would love to help. I told Josh, he even asked me one time for some video stuff back in the day on I think it was I forgot which team they were playing, China and whatnot. I just happened to be in the middle of my season, but I told him any other time if I'm free, I would love to go out there and help and just be a part of it. And just, I think the best thing about Filipinos and myself, I don't know, maybe it's different, but here in America, my wife's Filipino. We're great teammates. We have great community and we like to support each other. And so I just want to be a part of it and support in any way that I can and just be a great teammate to the Gilas team and possibly PBA. You never know.
With a considerable talent pool that we have in the Philippines, you've got Kai Soto, you have Kobe, as I mentioned. There's a program that's being developed. We're putting up naturalized players. Do you believe that it's just, and we're playing in the World Cup, of course, in 2023. Do you think that the Philippines has a great opportunity to level up and get to that next level that everyone is asking for?
Of course. It takes a lot of hard work and a great attitude and all that. But I love that game that what Jimmy always shows that when we beat Korea. Was it Korea? We beat them in that really legendary game because we got heart. That's what we are. And so of course, because we have heart and we have belief that we can do it, we can get there. And when I was there and I got to watch national team practices, it was good. Everything was really squared away, organized, great post-practice meal. I got to join in on the meal. Why not?
Well, we certainly hope that we'll see you here in Manila, but more than that, we'll see you in the NCAA, and of course, to see basketball first restart. Coach Mike, it's been a terrific morning for us having you on the show. We wish you all the best, and certainly, as Coach Paul said, represent us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you so much. Yan po mga kaibigan, ang kauna-unahang US NCAA Division I head coach na meron pong tunay na dugong Pinoy. Si Coach Mike Magpayo ng University of California, Riverside. Wow, incredible. Talaga namang sana nga lalo pa siyang maging matagumpay. Kinakamusta natin lahat po ng ating mga nakikinig sa Radyo 5 92.3 News FM at mga nanonood po sa pamamagitan ng Channel 1 1PH, Channel 1 sa Signal TV and of course sa Facebook Live at ang Noli Iyala YouTube channel. We will take a quick break. Sa amin pong pababalik, Commissioner Willie Marcial ng Philippine Basketball Association. Alright mga kaibigan, nagbabalik po ang Power and Play. Again, kinakamusta po natin lahat ng mga nakikinig sa atin. Si Alex Fuentes, si Nestoria Balastig, Jose Lumbres, Jonas Pabia ng San Pablo City at marami pa. Mamaya babasahin po natin lahat ang mga bumabate sa inyong lahat. Alright, at this point, gusto po nating ipasok na. Just a few hours ago, nakapanayan po natin, walang iba kundi ang taong talagang busy sa mga kaganapan ng PBA. Walang iba po kundi ang Commissioner ng PBA, si Com Willie Marcial. Kasama po natin ngayon ang walang iba kundi ang Commissioner ng PBA na talaga naman busy, si Commissioner Willie Marcial. Com Willie, magandang gabi sa iyo.
Com Noli, magandang araw sa inyo at salamat sa muling pagkikita natin.
Nako talagang sabi ko, alam mo minsan iniisip ko, Com, na parang mas mahirap pa ang buhay mo ngayon na nasa pandemya, na walang games. Parang mas mabuti pa ata na meron tayong mga laro, Com. Ha?
Tama ka doon, Com. Tama. Mas okay pa na may games na magalit yung mga coaches sa akin. Mas okay eh. Kasi itong hirap, Com.
At least yun, no? Laro lang, tsaka mga yung mga desisyon para sa liga. Ito parang pati ang mga fans, kailangan mong intindihin yung kanilang kalusugan, yung mga trabaho ng mga taong hindi mo naman dating iniintindi dahil iniintindihan ng mga teams. Ikaw na rin ang umiintindi, Com Willie.
At Com, mahirap to. Sinasabi ko, ang hirap na nito. Mas mahirap pag umandar na. Kasi kakabahan ako, baka may mag-positive, may mangyari, outbreak. Di ba? Mas baksak ang sisi sa akin, Com. Yung hirap.
Well, hindi natin nagustuhan, hindi natin gusto to. At obviously, ginagawa natin lahat ng paraan. Kaya naman, unang-una, natutuwa ako na binigyan mo kami ng panahon. Com, ganito lang. Alam ko na nag-issue na kayo ng mga protocols, ng health and safety protocols at ipinasa na to ng IATF. Marami nang nasabi ka tungkol dyan. Marami na rin tayong nabasa. Gusto ko lang malaman, meron ba kayong sinusundan na mga, kumbaga, on your own, no? Na timeline o yung mga takdang araw na gusto nyong maging objective ninyo dito sa mga susunod na buwan, na linggo, na buwan ngayong taon na to?
Meron, Com. Una, sana makapag-practice na kami sa July 22. Iniintay lang namin doon yung proseso ng testing at pinaka-importante, yung approval ng task force. Tapos pag okay na yan, susulat ulit ako, Com, sa task force sa DOH na baka pwede tayo mag-scrimmage na by August. Tapos dahan-dahan na baka pwede tayo magsimula by September o October. So yun ang mga target. As of now, on track pa rin tayo, Com.
Anong priority, Com Willie, ng board na binigay niya sa iyo na dapat ito ang ating gawin? Ito ba yung pagpapasimula o yung kalusugan ng mga testing? Okay.
Testing. Swab testing, ano ba tayo, rapid. So doon pa kami ng simula muna doon. Tapos ano dapat ng protocol. Doon muna sila eh. doon sila nanggagaling practice. Tapos buti na-solve ko yung insurance. Kasi gusto ng players, sana may insurance. Pumayag yung mga teams na sagot nila lahat ng hospitalization ng players.
Aba, napakagandang balita yan. Ha? So, in other words, Kumili, basta nagkaroon ng kaso ng COVID-19, sasagutin ng mga teams ang pagpapagamot ng mga player. Ganun ngayon ang usapan doon.
Tama. Kasi di mo na malalaman. Lumabas yan, di man galing sa practice eh. Basta magkasakit ka ng COVID, sasagutin ng teams. Parang dati pag na-injured ka, diba, sagot ng team. So ito sasagutin. So nawala na yung insurance ko.
Ano ang, alam natin na yun nga, meron kayong hinahabol na petsa, yung July 22 yun, ano, Kom? Para sa practices. Paano ngayon ang protocols ninyo? Ini-inspection na ba ninyo ang mga practice facilities? Meron ba kayong tinatawag na parang mga compliance officers, Komili?
Meron tayo dun, safety officer, health officer sa team, dun sa batch na yon, sa anim, pag-alis, may ano pa tayo. Tapos meron tayong hospital standard disinfection. Kailangan may certification kayo na hospital standard. Pangalawa, yung testing kailangan dun sa yung alam mo naman yung pagkakatiwalaan na test kits or testing area na mga bibigyan. Yun ang mga inuuna natin, Kom.
Okay, so yan mga yan very technical, Kom, no? Very technical yung health protocols na ipinapatupad ninyo with the approval ng IATF. The impression is napakahirap, and of course wala sa expertise ng PBA yan. Sino ang mga kinukonsulta mo, Kom? Who is your team para dito sa mga ginagawa ninyong very kumbaga masusi na paghahanda sa pagbabalik ng PBA?
Lagi ko tinatawagan yung si Dr. Canlas. Kilala mo naman si Dr. Canlas, diba? Dr. Sofiba. Si Dr. Gan na dating ngayon pa rin consultant doctor ng Blackwater. Si Dr. Pai, yung kapatid ni Shena, sports doctor. So yung mga yon, pati yung mga kasamahan nila ay nagbibigay sa atin ng advices. So pag nagsimula tayo kunwari magsisimula yung scrimmages, tatawagin ko sila. Lahat, anong sa tangin nyo. So nagkukonsulta tayo sa mga doktor.
And ito ba, when the scrimmages begin, yan ba may possibility na magkakaroon ka ng spot check, Komili?
Ngayon, magkakaroon tayo ng spot check. Meron tayong mga sa PBA Commissioner Office nung umiikot sa lahat ng, kung magsisimula ng practices, sisilip lang. Sisilip lang. At ang sinasabi ko nga sa mga players, kayo magsabi sa akin kung may kamalian ng safety officer. Kasi hindi ko mabibideo yan, makikita lang nyo, bawal ang video, sabihin nyo sa akin, may fine yun, ang safety officer at players pag may ginawang mali.
Kumbaga kung nagkunsabahan, pwede rin yung ma-fine ng Commissioner's Office. Very good.
Tama.
What about the referees, Willie? Paano ang paghahanda? Siyempre, alam naman natin, natenga din ang mga referee mo. Siguro, mahirap na magsabi, pero sana hindi nananaba yung mga referee natin. And of course, siyempre, kailangan nilang maghanda rin. How are you helping? Paano kayo naghahanda ng mga referees?
Dire-diretso. Kung si Joey Guanyo, siya nagte-train ng referees natin 3-4 times a week. So dahan-dahan lang. Tapos pag malapit na, itetest ko din sila sa mga testing natin, swab and rapid test. Pati mga tables, lahat na nandun, ipapatest natin.
And alam natin na meron din kayong pinapatupad na tinatawag mong closed circuit system, yung bahay, practice facility, bahay. Well, obviously, ideally, sa teorya, magandang pakinggan yan, di ba? Dahil talagang hindi talaga sila pwede makakuha ng kung talagang ganun ang gagawin. Gaano ka kakumpiyansa, na masusunod dito? At ano ang ginagawa ng PBA para siguraduhin sundin ng mga player?
Yun nga, sinasabi nga namin, disiplina. Kung hindi kayo magkakadisiplina, sinabi ko sa mga players na hindi lang para sa inyo yan, para sa kasamahan nyo at para sa mga pamilya nyo at mga kasamahan nyo. One, may lag kami. May lag na araw-araw yon. Saan ka galing? Galing kang bahay, tapos diretso. Saan ka pumunta? Pumunta ka ng supermarket. May protocol agad tayo doon. Na ito protocol natin. Pag nag-burst yung bubbles, may protocol kang gagawin doon. Swab testing, quarantine, tapos ganun. Maski na yung pag may dumalaw sa'yo, hindi mo na maiiwasan eh. Kapatid, pamilya, pumunta sa bahay mo, sabihin mo din agad. Oras na hindi ka nagsabi at naalaman namin, may fine ka.
And do you think itong protocol na to medyo ligtas na? Yung at least kung ito masusunod, hindi masyadong sinusugal ang mga players o meron ka pa rin agam-agam, Willie?
Meron, kasi wala naman zero COVID eh. Kasi kahit i-hotel mo,
Oo.
yung kutsara tinidor nun, yung room boy nun, hindi mo, di ba, walang zero COVID eh, talagang kailangan mo talaga ng vaccine. So, ito, para malimitahan lang at sana minimal lang kung may tatamaan o sana wala. Sana.
Oo. Well, at the end of the day, talagang personal responsibilidad na to eh. Alam naman natin, pati yung NBA, Willie, na nabanggit na nga doon. Bagamat talagang parang naka-bubble sila doon, pero yung kanilang
Meron
rules,
pa rin eh.
oo, sakop lang yung mga NBA player dahil yung mga yung mga empleyado ng Walt Disney World hindi naman sakop doon at lumalabas yun sa mga lugar na Florida sa Orlando na napakataas ang kaso, no? So in the same manner ngayon itong sitwasyon natin dumadami ang virus.
Tama.
Does it bring may concern ka ba na baka maantala pa rin tayo?
Sobra. Pwede tayo maantala sa nangyayari ngayon. Kaya hanggang ngayon wala pang binibigay sa amin ng task force. So, maski na siguro binigyan na rin tayo, kinakabahan pa rin ako, Yun ang sinasabi ko eh. Ang hirap na pag umandar. Ang hirap na di ba? So, pero kailangan tayo magsimula, So, dapat may pinanggagalingan. So, wala eto na.
Wala ka magagawa. Talagang, kumbaga, napusoy no? Napusoy tayo dyan. Talagang kailangan gumalaw. Eto, may mga bagong developments ngayon na yung coronavirus daw ay airborne.
Airborne.
No? So ngayon, lumalabas na hindi lamang droplets, kung hindi maaaring nasa ating kapaligiran. At alam naman natin ang basketball, hindi ka pwedeng hindi maglabas ng pawis, lalo-lalo na sa practice. So again, these new developments, how is the PBA handling this? Ito ba'y pinapaaral mo na sa iyong mga team of experts para magbigay ng o pag-aralan ng mga bagong additional protocols ninyo?
Yun nga, itong airborne na tumatagal daw ng ilang oras, wala pa sa aming radar eh. Pero sinasabi nga meron kaming hospital standard sanitation. So kailangan yung gym mo, bago ka magsimula, bago ka mag-practice, sanitize ang hospital standard na may certification sa amin. Tapos every practice, spray ka lang. Para wala din talaga eh. Yun nga eh. Hindi ko alam. Ultimo nga mga presidente, nagkakasakit eh. May ang nila. So, ligaw ako. Pero, yun nga.
Well, you're doing the best.
Lahat.
Tama. Alam mo, nakausap mo na ang mga players, nakausap mo na ang team managers and coaches. Anong sense, personally mo, what is the sense that you get from them? Are they, kumbaga, gusto nilang gawin to? Merong medyo may mga hirap pa sa desisyon, pero kailangan lamang magtrabaho. What is the sense that you get from all of these people?
Sense ko na nababahala. Nababahala sila na ganito. Pero yun nga trabaho di ba? Kung noona, sabi ko pag naka-vaccine, baka after 2 years pa yung vaccine, paano na PBA na harapan natin? So, di ba, kailangan, kailangan magsimula talaga eh. Katulad nun, ang ginawa ng governors, yung lahat ng players na gusto nila, extended hanggang December 31. May PBA o wala.
Maganda nga yan eh.
PBA o wala, di ba?
Yan nga gusto kong tanungin, because nabasa ko nga yan na in-extend ninyo yung mga expiring contracts hanggang kaduluduluhan ng taon, no? Ito ba ay mandatory sa lahat ng teams? Walang kahit yung player na yun, gusto mo na sanang i-drop, kailangan mong extend mo na hanggang December 31?
Hindi. Depende nga sa gusto mo. Is option ng team. Kung
Okay.
hindi ka mapeperma, free agent ka. So
Free
pwede
agent,
ka nang
oo.
pumunta sa ibang Pero sa ngayon, yun nga, overall mo, extended ka na. Yung hanggang this year, ano tawag
Bayad
doon?
ka na.
Oo, ano ba tawag doon? Yung okay ka na.
Oo.
Diba?
Meron ka ng guarantee. Oo.
Matapos.
Oo.
May PBA o wala. In-extend nila yun, Kom.
Okay. And alam natin yan na talagang napakagandang plano yan. And for the player, laking bagay niya para sa kanilang pamilya, no? But paano naman yung team? How are we? For instance, Comwilly, no? Sa football, sa Philippine Football League, meron ng isang team, yung Ceres, na napakalaki, na tumiklop na, no? Nung isang araw, nakausap natin si Chairman Popoy Wico naman ng Philippine, yung Superliga ng volleyball, at sabi niya magtatapya sila ng sweldo ng ibang player. Alam ko na mga PBA teams are of course more secure, talagang malalaking kumpanya yan, na sila naman ay merong commitment talaga sa mga player at sa liga, at alam naman natin ang mga budget niyan. But how are you planning from the PBA's office to tulungan naman yung mga team to defray costs? Dahil alam naman natin ngayon wala kayong income, no? Walang gate receipts, wala kayong advertising money. Anong mga iniisip ng Commissioner's Office na para naman mabigyan ng konting ayuda itong mga teams natin? Or at least kahit na policies na makakatulong sa kanila.
Mga policies tayo para matulungan yung mga teams. Hindi ko na elaborate, Com. Pero hindi sila nag-a-avail. Kunwari, Com, libre ka kanto o pwede kitang tulungan. Hindi nag-a-avail yung mga teams. So, ibig sabihin,
Kaya
pa sila. Okay pa siguro. Okay pa sila. May proposal kami. Hindi sila nag-avail, Com.
Paano naman ang mismong liga? You mentioned something about halos 1 million a day ang nawawala sa PBA mismo, no, sa opisina ng PBA. That's almost 30 million a month. Itong huling 120 plus days natin, malaking pera na itong pinag-uusapan natin. Anong plano nyo naman to make up dito sa ating mga, or ma-mitigate yung mga losses ninyo, Comwilly?
Yung ibang, kunwari, excuse me, yung sponsors natin, may kontrata sila, inaano ko, kahit yung 20 o 30%, mailagay lang muna sa online, sa social media namin. So pumapayag sila. Kahit konti, kahit 30% lang pumapayag naman yung mga sponsors. Pero nakakatulong, diba? Pero hindi, katulad 30 million. So nakakatulong. So yung 30 million namin, wala pa teams doon, diba, sa gastos. Alam mo naman yun, Com, diba? Yun, sinasubsidize pa rin ng PBA, ng governors, ng owners, yung mga ginagastos natin.
Okay. Well, that's very good. Alam naman natin ng PBA hindi papabayaan niya ng mga teams natin, and that's the reason why masyadong malakas talaga ang liga. Now, let me go to a specific case, Comwilly, yung kaso ni Mr. Joseldo C. ng Blackwater na napag-usapan na yan ng lahat ng tao, no? Ako lang, I just wanted to ask, unang-una, ano yung specific breach ng protocol? Kasi yung isang sinasabi ni Mr. C, ni Joe, hindi naman daw talaga sila nag-practice. So ano talaga ang naging finding ng PBA Commissioner's Office, Comwilly?
Sa akin, Com, hindi ko na kasi ma-elaborate, hindi ko na pwedeng sabihin kasi susubit ko na yung findings sa governors.
Sa governors, okay.
Kay chairman mismo, so parang confidential na. Meron siyang nagawa. Hindi ko lang masabi pero meron.
So in other words,
nagawa.
talagang may practices. Let's just be yun lang, nagkaroon ng practice. Ganun lang yun.
One, for sure, meron.
Okay. And now the PBA board is taking over, imbestigahan si Mr. C. Kailan mangyayari to, Comwilly? And do you see a bigger, kumbaga, falling out dito? Sa tingin mo ba magkakaroon ng mas malaki pang epekto? O sa tingin mo ito ay maaayos naman?
Depende kung ano yung pananaw ng pagkabigay ko ng findings ko, kung anong, hindi ko alam kung ano nasa utak ng mga governors. Nasaktan ba, So hindi ko pa masabi kasi hindi ko pa makita yung mga reaction nila eh. So hindi ko pa
Hindi mo pa rin
masabi as of
nakakausap
now.
si Mr. Joseldo? Hindi mo pa rin nakakausap si Mr. C?
Ang huling usap ko bago nga mangyari. Nakausap ko as of now, hindi pa.
You know Joseldo C, kilala natin. He's a
Oo.
sportsman. Talagang very passionate din yan. Now, yung kanyang pagkakasalita na ibebenta niya yung kanyang prangkisa, yung kanyang kupunan, do you think that was a knee-jerk reaction o merong halong katotohanan?
Pwedeng ni-jerk yun, pero hindi mo din alam. Yun nga, hindi mo na alam kasi hindi ko na alam kung ano nangyayari. Okay ka, hindi ko alam kung ano nangyayari sa company mo.
Oo.
Diba? Pero as of now, sinasabi mo sa akin, okay, kung anong Willie, sunod ako sa PBA. So, hindi ko alam kung anong pinanggagalingan sa nangyari doon. Baka napikon o ano, pero yun nga nasaktan medyo tayo sa mga binanggit niya.
Okay. Well, alam naman natin, Willie, noong 2004, 2005, ang Shell, ganun din na. Hindi naman ganun. Walang, nagsabi sila na alis sila very quietly. Pero ang ginawa natin nung panahon na yon, nagkaroon ng moratorium on trades. Dahil meron
Tama.
ng plano, baka mamaya yung kanilang gagawin maka-apekto sa liga. Is that something na pinag-iisipan na ngayon ng PBA na ngayong kahit na tututuhanin o hindi, baka biglang mag-trade ng player? Alam natin may moratorium kayo on trades right now. Pero yan ba iniisip nyo na i-extend pa para sa Blackwater yung moratorium on trades kagaya ng ginawa natin noong taong 2004-2005 sa Shell?
Pwede. Kung ano yung ginawa natin noon sa Shell, doon tayo sa Reno Shine, napag-usapan natin yan. Pwedeng mangyari. Kaya nga, hindi ko alam kung anong nasa isip ng governors as of now.
Okay. Final question, kasi alam ko na medyo ginagabi na tayo at ikaw ay busy-busy.
Okay lang ako. Gusto mo
Dito.
malauna tayo dito.
Maganda kasi yung view mo. Ako kulong na kulong. Kaya, ito. Nagkaroon ng fine si Tab Baldwin na 75,000 dahil sa kanyang mga nasabi sa isang interview. Nagkaroon ng fine si Joseldo C dahil sa kanyang isang interview na 100,000 na may nasabi din siya sa mga interview. Ito, I will be very honest, meron daw parang chilling effect na ayaw na, hindi pala pwede magpa-interview o baka may masabi, ma-fine. Ano ang reaction mo, and anong payo mo sa mga PBA personalities na ngayon ay siyempre nagiging guest ng mga napakaraming online shows?
Okay sa akin yan. Hindi to Marcelo, Willie Marcel to. Pero hindi Marcelo. Okay, alam naman nila ever since. Siguro bago lang. Kahit ano pa sabihin mo, okay. Basta wag lang detrimental to the league. O sabihin mo, si commissioner, pangit yan wala namang problema. Basta, di ba, wag mo lang titirahin yung PBA per se. Sabihin mo anong gusto mo. Yung tawag sa akin yung isang araw, mukhang hindi maganda. Sasabihin, yung tawag sa akin, pabor sa kabila. Ayun, dadali ka naman. Sabihin mo naman, wala. Mas okay ako pumunta mga players, PBA personality sa mga online, magpa-interview. Ang laking tulong sa atin. Okay ako doon, walang problema sa akin.
Alam naman natin yan ang buhay ng PBA na talagang pinag-uusapan. At alam mo naman ang mga tao, talagang gustong pag-usapan ng PBA. So, wala tayong magagawa dyan. But again, as you said, pangalagaan lang natin ang pangalan ng PBA. Yun lang naman ang mahalaga.
Tama.
Really, alam mo, ang buhay mo napakahirap, but you are, I know you're doing the best that you can. And patuloy kaming nagdarasal at sumusuporta sa mga programa mo, balitaan mo kami kung may mga developments na mangyayari sa mga susunod na araw, Kom?
Basta gabi, gusto mo hanggang alas 2 madaling araw, pwede ako.
Yeah.
Huwag lang ako alas 2. Tawagan mo lang ako dyan, sabi mo sa EP mo.
May hawak na nga akong may hawak na nga akong pagsimula dito na. Kom, maraming salamat. Maraming salamat sa iyo.
Salamat, Kom. Salamat sa tulong. Salamat sa dasal. Maraming salamat sa iyo.
Ingat. Yan po mga kaibigan, si Kom Willie Marcial. Ang kaibigan po natin, si Willie Marcial, minsan konting light. Ika nga, gawin nating light kasi ito naman po si Willie talagang ang laki ng kanyang hinahawakang responsibilidad at of course yung mga problema dumarating. Sabi nga natin, mas mabuti pa nung may laro ang kanyang inaatupag lamang yung laro mismo. Ngayon, ang dami po pong bagay tungkol sa ating pamumuhay, lalong-lalo sa banta ng COVID-19. Alright, at this point mga kaibigan, gusto ko lang ibalik yung mga nagbigay ng ilang komentaryo tungkol sa ating pulso. Yung ating pong pulso ngayon na dapat na bang ibenta ng Blackwater Elite yung kanilang team sa PBA dahil nga doon sa mga kaganapan doon sa mga nangyari. Ito po isang komentaryo mula kay Robert Hoson. Sabi niya, "Good morning Sir Noli. Well, if you're a team owner, dapat lang pasakop ka sa commissioner or sa PBA rules. In particular, wag naman balat sibuyas. Kung ibebenta na nila at desidido sila, alam naman magagawa ang PBA. Ala namang magagawa ang PBA. Marami pang interesadong company na sumali sa PBA. Tama yan. Wala talaga magagawa ang PBA pagka gusto ng umalis ng isang team. Although may kontrata po ang bawat team. Lalo na yung bago 5 years ang minimum yan. I think nakalampas na ang Blackwater dyan. So talagang kung gusto niyang umexit na, pwede po. Pero sa tamang paraan na hindi naman masira ang liga. Mula naman kay John siya Pabia, dapat na po, may punto naman po ang owner ng Blackwater Elite. So sa kanya, pabor siya na ibenta itong Blackwater. Si TJ Espinas Reka, definitely yes. Aba, baka may buyer ito kaya interesado ng ibenta ang koponan ng Blackwater Elite. Ako po mismo, personal, hindi ako naniniwala na gusto niyang ibenta to. Malamang ano lang to, kumbaga na talaga nasaktan, medyo magkakaayos din yan. Alam ko po yung mga tao dyan sa PBA, medyo pagka nagkausap-usap at iba na basketball na pag-usapan, magkakasundo rin po yan. By the way, gusto ko lang batiin ng isang belated happy birthday si Boss MVP ng TV5 of course at ng SBP. Siya po yung nagsapit ng kanyang karawan a few days ago. Happy birthday, Boss Manny V. Pangilinan. Gusto ko rin pong batiin ng isang belated happy birthday ang aking kaibigan si Solomon Ku. Happy birthday, Sol. At advance happy birthday kay Dr. J. Adalem. I think bukas ang birthday ni Dr. J. Happy birthday din to Jerry Pavia, kaibigan ko from Ateneo, at si Mr. Henry Aquino, kaklasiko naman sa Lasal. Alright, we're just about ready para sa ating susunod po na makakapanayam. Nakausap din natin siya a few hours ago. Ang isa sa mga napipintong maging naturalized players ng Gilas Pilipinas. Patuloy na dumodumina ng UAAP Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, and of course a multi-time champion with the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Ang center of attraction ng Ateneo, walang iba kundi ang import ng tiga Ivory Coast, si Angelo Kwame. We are joined right now by the Ateneo big man, Angelo Kwame. Good day, Ange. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, sir.
How are you? How has the quarantine been treating you?
I'm doing good. Just taking care of myself, of my mental health, and keep improving. Especially this time is it's meaningful for that, like working out on the things that I like on and everything. So
very good. Well, it's good to see you, and a lot of things are happening very quickly, even during this time. And I know that one of them, of course, is your planned naturalization, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But let me just go back to the very start, Ange. We know that you picked up the sport of basketball not very early, a little bit late, back home in Abidjan in the Ivory Coast. How many were you in the family? And how many were athletes or sporting people?
We actually 6. I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. So I'm the third boy, and after that my little brother, which is my half brother. But in Africa we don't have half brother. It's just brother. Brother is brother.
Yeah. So were any of them, or are any of them into sports like you, basketball or football?
My oldest brother used to play basketball before, but I think in high school. And then he stopped since he started working. And my little brother used to play football, but he's actually he's gonna join the army, I think, soon.
Oh, that's nice. So, okay, I was reading that one of your first loves is the sport of football.
Yes, sir.
Is this true? Did you actually play it when you were in elementary or in high school?
Because most of the time I play with my friend in my barangay, but it wasn't something serious. Like, it's just something that everybody used to grow with. It's like basketball here. Like, when the first sport that you meet here is basketball until you find football after other sport. But it was like football. I started with football, and after that I found basketball.
All right. So were you tall for your age during that time? Were you like at what age did you start shooting up in terms of your height?
I think it was around 12 to 14 or 15. I think.
All right. What was your height then?
That transformation surprised me. So I was in high school, right? And then I think I was a bit fat, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then after, I think 3 years after that, I saw a different transformation. I didn't even understand. I grew up, but I was tall, but not that tall. I mean, for most of my friends, I was the tallest. And then later on, I think I grew up like so quick. I think like 2 or 3 years like straight.
All right. And how did you pick up the sport of basketball, Ange? Who was your first coach?
So I found basketball in the street. I think I found basketball in the street because I think it's after my dad passed away. I was looking for something was gonna distract me or whatever. So I wasn't that good in football, but I knew how to play. I mean, compared to people there, because it's a bit different. But when I found basketball, I mean, it was like kind of distraction to keep me away from all of the drama thing and everything. So I picked up basketball in the street, and for 2 and 3 years, and after that, I think I went to my mom's office, and then I think one of his friends told her, "Oh, he's really tall, and what is he doing?" And then she told him I play basketball. From that, he told me he knows someone who can really help me, and then, that's how I started.
All right. I was trying to research how you were scouted, and it's so uncanny and so strange that there's one name that crosses our paths together. And his name is Aaron Njike, a Cameroonian young man who I'm telling you, he when he came here, he's about 6'2", right? He was about 6'2".
Yeah.
He's a leaper. He's like Michael Jordan when he jumps. Very athletic, very good in football as well. He came here. He was rejected by UP. He was rejected by UE. He was referred to me in my school, and he played in the San Pablo College's Ravens team for 1 year. And I understand that he has an interesting story with you as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I met him from the wealth of the Cameroon national team head manager, which is Paul Belak Titi. So he told me, he had 2 propositions for me, like one to go in France, and then the other one was to play in college here in the Philippines. So from my perspective, I wanted to finish school and play basketball at the same time. So that's how I met Indike. So Indike contacted me. He told me he has a school for me, and then bam, at the nail.
Oh, really? Not San Pablo colleges, huh? Look, and so when you were told about that, what did you know about the Philippines and Philippine basketball?
So back then, all you hear from the news is Philippines is a poor country, is a bad country, where I mean, aside for what we already knows and everything else, but people has a different mindset of the Philippines back then. And when I came here, it was like a way different than what I thought. So I think that's it.
All right. So you came here. You needed to do some residency in order for you to play for the Ateneo. So you played in a high school called Multiple Intelligence High School. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? What was your reaction when you got to that school? Obviously, you were the tallest person in that school, and how did you get? How did you feel when you started, studying in MIHS?
I felt a bit different because first of all, my English wasn't that good. Like when I was there, so to be able to make friends and be able to be part of the MI community was a bit strange to me. But with the time when I used to like get in touch with the teachers and the head direction and everything, people were so nice to me, so kind. So it really made me love my high school experience, and I really enjoyed it.
So you learned to communicate better. I guess it prepared you
Yeah.
for the Ateneo.
Yes.
And I guess the question that's being begged is why did you agree to play for Ateneo? What did you like in the school and in the basketball program?
So let's say when I first entered here, my first UAAP game was the Ateneo LaSalle when they won against LaSalle. I think the second run. That was right, like I think 2 weeks when I first arrived here in the Philippines. So to see that environment where the crowd was interactive, know, like they were like let's say in symbiosis with the teams and the activation, like the battle, everything. I really loved it. Like I was surprised and afraid at the same time when I asked myself, Andrew, are you gonna play here or whatever? But I fell in love for it. I really that was my first time to see something big like that, and I really loved it. So but from that, I mean, I told myself, well, this is it, and maybe it's a new experience for me to go and try it.
Who do you remember in that particular game impressed you the most among the both teams, Ateneo and LaSalle, I suppose?
Of course, Ben and Bala, but I had a big hat for Kuya Ike because he really did a good job. Seeing him even during practice, give himself 100% and improve, help the team to come back next year and win that championship. I was impressed but especially by both, but more from Ben Bala because he was amazing as a player. He's
all right,
amazing.
so well, Ben has always
Yeah,
really
so
made a terrific impression on many people. All right, and when you got to the Ateneo on your first year, how
Yeah.
did you adjust to campus life? Ateneo is a tough school, and you're not just there to play. You're supposed to study. So was that a very difficult adjustment and experience for you in the beginning?
He was really difficult. It was really difficult because I was new here, so I didn't have anybody except Ike at the time because he's a foreigner at me. He understand me. So we understood each other, and we start a good relationship. He really helped me in this process. Like I don't even know how to order food here or everything. So he was there for me, helped me everything in that process until I met other people. I met the players from Team A and everything. So I was welcoming even from the community, like parents of the players, different fans and everything. So I mean, it was difficult for me, but I learned how to adjust with everybody here and the culture with the Ateneo staff and everything. So thank you.
Okay, all right. And when you got there, obviously at the Ateneo had already a winning program. They had won championships. They were looking for more, and you were being now given that responsibility when you replaced Ike as the resident foreign import of the Blue Eagles. Did you feel pressure? Did you feel like you had to develop quickly and deliver right away for the Ateneo?
Um, yes, I would say. I guess yes. But because coming from practicing with the elite player from the team like G Boy and Chris Porter, Isaago at that time. I mean, it was. I felt like I was like I was a rookie, so I have to learn every single piece of the game, any expression, how to use this term, how to be involved in the game, and take an example from them. So the way out they really put the expectation and the expectation high. I told them. I mean, something inside me told me I have to I have to improve it if I really want to be part of it. So it's from that I had a great learning experience during and through the year with them, and from there, I really find myself in the game and be able to improve.
Who was your who were the closest friends that you had who really helped you adjust in your first year, Ange?
I would say Isaac Go because Isaac is a great learner. He's a great teacher also. So I was able to ask him question every single time. But back then, I came from Team B. I played with Team B, the Brewery B. So Coach Churi was one of my mentors before I entered in Team A, and he was there also to teach me the basic of the game. But when we talk about player wise, Isago was the more places to really help me.
You're talking about Coach Fury. Yan po mga kaibigan, si Angelo Kwame ang center ng Ateneo Blue Eagles. Mahaba pa po yung ating interview sa kanya. He will talk about his personal gains, yung mga nakuha niya mga leksyon kay Coach Tab Baldwin, mga nakalaban niya sa UAP, sino yung talagang nakabakbakan niya, and of course, yung kanyang napipintong naturalization bilang naturalized player ng Gilas Pilipinas. Pag-uusapan po niya yan at atin pong ipalalabas yan. Sa susunod na linggo, abangan niyo ulit yung second part ng interview natin kay Angelo Kwame. Alright, we'll take a quick break. Ito po ang Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Alright mga kaibigan, isa lamang pong pagbati mula kay Ara Barido. Sir Nolly, pakibati naman po ang mami ko na si Mami Gloria. Si Ara po yung isa sa nating makeup artist. Mami Gloria, happy birthday po mula kay sa inyong napakagandang anak na si Ara Barido. Pagi po daw siya nanonood ng Power and Play. Marami pong salamat, Mami Gloria. Kamusta po sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin? Si Gab Ferreras, si Ana Mohe nanonood sa atin. Si Lanyon Christine and si si Alvin J. Biaga. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. At this point, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors who continue to help Power and Play. Of course, ang ating presenter, ang Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa tibay ni Engineer Gilbert Cruz. Lagi po nating pinasasalamatan ng tulong ng Big Boss Cement, hindi lamang po sa ating programa, kundi sa lahat po ng aspeto ng sports. Ang dami pong programa na tinutulungan ang Big Boss Cement. Big Boss sa tibay, pag inyong kailangan sa inyong mga proyekto, Big Boss Cement. Maraming salamat, Engineer Gilbert Cruz. Marami din po salamat sa Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum sa inyong pangangailangan, lalo na ngayon sa tag-ulan. Ang roofing requirements niyo, Cherry Loom lang po. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum ni Paring Elmer Ngo. Maraming salamat po, Paring Elmer. Na-miss ko kayo kahapon, pero di bali, next Friday, magsasama-sama ulit tayo. Marami din po salamat sa Elms Resto Bar Group, Elms Kapihan and Bar, yung pong Home of Native Itik na ngayon ay bukas na sa lahat ng kanilang 4 na branches sa Kapitolyo Pasig, Calle Bistro Commonwealth, Robinsons Novaliches, Poblacion Makati. Pag gusto nyo ng masarap na ulam, pulutan at lugar na pang-relax, Elms Kapihan and Bar, Elms Resto Bar Group. Tawag lang po for reservation. Sundan nyo rin ang kanilang Facebook at Instagram. Maraming salamat din po, of course, sa Joyride, ang inyong bagong kasundo. Use Joyride Delivery and Pabili when buying from your favorite shops and restaurants. Now, at our lowest prices ever, you can book all your delivery needs at garantisado pong makakarating ang inyong ipapadala. Joyride, available throughout Metro Manila and parts of Rizal, Cavite, Bulacan, and Laguna. Download now, Joyride. Happy move and enjoy the experience. Marami din po salamat sa Makelaj Professional School of Makeup Artistry, ang ating official hair and makeup provider. And of course, maraming salamat kay Dr. G. Sarmiento at Doc Richie Sarmiento ng Skin, Your Face and Body Anti-Aging Center. If you have any concerns, Skin now has online consultations. Bukas na rin sila sa Alabang Town Center. Mag-book lamang po kayo sa 0917-890-1640. Again, they also deliver mga skincare products. Skin, Your Face and Body Anti-Aging Center. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating mga naging sponsors. And tuloy-tuloy po tayo doon sa ating Power and Play Padjak na babanggitin na ba natin? Alright. Mamaya pa pala. Okay, we will take care of that in a little while. In the meantime, I think ready na po tayo sa susunod nating programa, sa ating susunod na guest. Alam niyo po, napabalita lately, of course, ang sinapit po ng ABS-CBN Broadcast Corporation. Of course, may mga nadamay po, ika nga, na mga collateral na effects ng desisyon ng Kongreso na hindi po i-extend ang prangkisa ng isang higanting broadcast network katulad ng ABS-CBN. At kasama po dyan, of course, kagaya na kanina nabanggit na Ricky Palu, yung pong sports group ng ABS-CBN. And siyempre, mamimiss natin lahat po ng ating mga kaibigan dyan po sa sports media. And ngayon, makikipagkamustahan lamang tayo as we reach out across the aisle, ika nga. Sa ating mga kaibigan, mga paborito ko to. Hindi ko sila nakasama sa broadcast, but I've always followed wherever they go. Walang iba kundi ang ating mga paboritong sports broadcasters, sports journalists, Boom Gonzales and Boyet Season. Magandang umaga, gentlemen.
Magandang umaga.
Naku naman, ngayon ko lang kayo nakita. Boyet, ang haba na ng buhok mo, ha?
Pahaba na ulit. Wala eh. Hindi pa nagbubukas yung barbero eh.
Ikaw rin,
Magandang
Boom, ha?
umaga. Magandang
Parang iba-
umaga.
Good morning, Kum!
Good morning,
nice
Papa
to
B.
see. Yun.
Alam mo, Kom Noli. Si Boom, hindi ko nakikita almost 2 years na. Maniwala
My
ka.
goodness.
Siguro.
Almost 2 years.
Talaga? Hindi kayo nagkikita sa studio? Hindi kayo nagkikita sa mga...
Nakikita.
Kom, kasi mula nung I left hardball sa ANC, hindi na ako nagpupunta sa ABS-CBN mismo, sa compound mismo. So,
okay.
puro outside. I parang gave up all of my studio shows. And then
Alright.
puro coverage na lang yung ginawa ko. But yes,
In the
miss na miss
meantime,
ko yan si Papa B.
Si Boyet naman,
Ayan,
panay sa
ganun
studio.
kayaman.
Panay studio.
Correct.
Ganon
Baliktad.
kayaman si Boom Gonzales.
Hindi, hindi. Kung, ang totoo niyan, hindi na ako umaabot sa studio dahil sa traffic. from MOA to ABS-CBN, sometimes, alam mo yun, from coverage, medyo mabigat. Ayoko na eh. Tumatakbo na ako, OBB na. Hindi ako and ayaw ko nagiging late. As you know, parang it's a no-no for us. Oh,
Sa broadcasters. Well, definitely. Okay, gentlemen, alam mo, I'll take the elephant out of the room. Right away because I don't want to make this linger. Alam naman natin na nangyari sa inyong kumpanya, at least with your department. And from the time of the expiration of the franchise to the hearings, to the vote, no, that happened last Friday, anong mindset ninyong dalawa? I mean, how did you prepare yourself for this day, the eventualities of all of this? Ano naging mindset ninyo? And how are you taking this? I'll start with you, Boom.
Well, it was an anxious. Actually, di ba, usap-usapan na yan January, even late last year, but yung conversation started to ramp up January, February, all of that. So there was anxious moments, a lot of anxious moments. So anxiety would be the word. You're always on pins and needles, edge of your seat, and not in a good way, not in a sports kind of way, edge of your seat. So you're always anxious about that, and then the COVID-19 hits, parang pumatong-patong pa. So you always try to mentally prepare yourself for something that, in all honesty, I'm trying to think na inevitability na nga eh. Ganun na nga yung iniisip ko just to prepare myself, You think of the worst case scenario, but you really can never prepare yourself, especially when it hits. That Friday when the station was shut down, and then eventually, I think Thursday when the division closed down, the sports division. So that talagang really sunk in, and the shock, numbness, and you feel for the rest of the family. You don't try to think of yourself only, but the rest of the family that I've been with for 18 years, 18 of my 21 years. So until last night, I was still sobbing like a baby, with some friends and with a little drinks.
You mean to say, Boyet, it was even a reality even before it happened? In other words, talaga naisip nyo mangyayari? Because ako, frankly, I'll tell you honestly, I never thought this would happen. Not to a media company like yours.
Alam mo, for a lot of our citizens, that was the mindset. I mean, how can a institution like ABS-CBN be taken out of the air? Nobody believed it. It became real for us. Well, for me personally, it became real when the president made a pronouncement. It was, I think, on his first year of office. He already said it. But it was not taken seriously. But of course, it was at the back of your head that, medyo hindi yata masaya yung presidente natin ngayon. Medyo daw tayo. We better watch our step. And true enough, it happened. The anxiety, Boom was correct, the anxiety leading up to this just kept on building and building and building. During the entirety of the hearings, may hope against hope ka pa na, baka magbago naman yung isip, baka mag-prevail yung saloobin ng mga mamamayan na tinatawagan nila yung mga kongresista nila na, teka muna, pabor kami sa sa pagbibigay ng bagong prangkisa. But that's how government works.
Okay.
Ganun talaga eh. Ikaw, alam mo yung politika eh. Kami, we were just observers. Can you imagine this for Boom and me, that I mean, medyo nakakaginhawa naman kami ng konti, but it's more anxious for people who are down the line. The small people who depend on that day-to-day call, may trabaho tayo. punta ka sa ganito, punta ka sa ganun, ito gagawin mo. Yun ang heartbreaking sa amin eh. Yun ang
Yeah.
mahirap.
Well, alam naman natin na kumbaga collateral damage ang nangyari sa inyo because of what all of these and I don't want to talk about the politics of this all, but I want to talk about kayo personal, no? I know I've known you, Boom. I follow you. In all your broadcasts. I've already mentioned that publicly. I enjoy your work. Boyet, I've worked with you in the PBA,
Yes, sir.
and I know the kind of person you are, yung quality ng work mo, and I'm sure you'll find again something kayong dalawa. But right now, what will you miss most about your job? I'll start with you, Boom.
Well, there no question. It's the people. The first and foremost, the people that we work with. I was chatting with them the last couple of days. All the production staff, directors. I was just talking to Direk Alneri this morning, Malu, and everybody else. It's more than anything else. It's the time that I spend with them off cam. And I don't mean to romanticize everything, but really that's the truth. A big part of what makes the work enjoyable is the people that you work with, whether it's the analysts, the reporters, the directors, producers, production staff, everybody down the line, as Boy had said, because this is what keeps you going. They make you look good. First and foremost, there's no question. And I don't mean that physically, kasi wala na tayong pag-asa dyan. But I mean, from an output standpoint, from a broadcast standpoint, the blueprint that they create and all of that, and you're there to execute it for them, and you just only can dream that you're executing it the way they're thinking about it. And everybody else, Comnoli, this, it's really that culture that you've cultivated for so many years, and it's really that the people. Everything else is gravy. The athletes, of course, and if they're international athletes that I get to do, then fine. That also, but really, it's the people that I work with, and especially if you've exposed to them. In my case, 18 years. Tao na yun eh. That's a quarter of a life already for a lot of people, as a good friend of mine said. So, yeah, more than anything else, really, it's interactions with them.
Boyet, this was your dream job, no? This was your dream job.
Always. It has always been the dream job for somebody who is as old as you, who has been able to have that opportunity to spread his wings in different platforms. I mean, si Boom, nag-radyo din yan. Ako, nag-radyo din ako. Pero alam mo, Comnoli, yung pag nasa harapan ka na ng telebisyon, nag-iiba yung mundo eh. Nag-iiba yung pakiramdam mo. Although radio is as powerful as television in my opinion. Pero alam mo, tama si Boom eh. Yung kultura sa loob ng ABS, sa pakikipagtrabaho sa ating mga kasamahan doon for many years. I've worked in the news division, I've worked in the radio division, I've worked in ABS-CBN Sports, and the consistency ng kultura doon pareho eh. Yung paano magtratuhan yung mga tao na kahit wala na sa trabaho, para kayong magkakapamilya talaga. I hate to, it's a cliche, pero kapamilya talaga kami. Ramdam mo eh. Ramdam mo. Na kahit sabihin mong magkasakit ka lang, mawala ka ng ilang araw, may tatawag sa'yo, uy, okay ka lang? Yun lang eh. The mere fact na nag-check sila sa'yo, kamustahin ka, malaking bagay na yun eh. Malaking bagay.
Well, I'm looking at your pictures. Tinitingnan ko lahat itong mga litratong pinapakita natin ngayon. Yung mga assignments ninyo. These are, hindi ito maliliit na tao na nakasama ninyo. Of course, yung mga tao nasa likod ng camera, mas mahalaga pa yan. But when you look at this, I want to go into this now. How do you prepare for these big interviews? I mean, a lot of fans are probably wondering. You are two of the people that are very notable pagdating sa style. How do you prepare for a big assignment? How do you prepare for a big interview? I'll start with you muna, Boyet.
Preparing for an interview, or any interview for that matter, you really have to put in the work. You have to put in the research. You have to put in a lot of time, and patience. I will say patience. Kasi may mga taong naghahanda minsan natataranta or impatient dahil ayaw magpasa, ayaw pag-aralan ko yung subject, ano yung background, ano yung landscape, kung paano niya tatanungin yung subject, paano niya gagawin yung interview, how will the flow go, where do you want to take your subject, how do you want everything to come together, ika nga, paano pagtatahi-tahiin lahat ng tanong mo at lahat ng magiging sagot ng iyong interview subject. Pero alam mo, para sa amin, I think Boom will agree with you on this. Walang araw na hindi ka kinakabahan. Pag wala ka ng kaba, may problema na yan.
Delikado.
Diba? If you don't have butterflies in your stomach, whether it be going on air on radio, preparing for an interview, even if it's just for the broadsheet or for the magazine or whatever, there is a problem. Ang kaba ay maganda para sa akin.
Boom?
Well, to disagree with Papa B, I will never do that. Not good for my career or my health. But yeah, first of all, there are certain philosophies that I follow, and a lot of it come from people who have blazed the trail before me. Commissioner Nolly, of course, is one of them. Among many other people, Boyet, of course, and a lot of people. They have set the example for people like us, okay? I have to establish that. This is not something that we do naturally. It is something that we've learned from people that have come before us. So, and one of those things, one of the many things that I've learned is never to come in with just stock knowledge. I mean, probably you can pull that 5-10% of the time, but you do not rely on, stock knowledge, and you come in unprepared, really. So, which comes with what Boyet mentioned. So, huwag kang aasang ganun. And the second one is related to the first one, is that you don't underestimate your audience, because your audience, you have to always think, at least that's what I think, you always come in with the mindset that they know more than you. Not because you have the mic or the cameras on you, you know more than them. So you always treat them with respect, because people like Commissioner Nolly are watching and listening, and and many others, not just people who are in the industry, people who are at home are very knowledgeable sports fans, so you never underestimate them. And then the rest of it is just praying. You have to pray, because some of these things that happen also are beyond your control. The attitude of, let's say, the interviewee, you never know, with the Kobe's, the LeBrons and the KDs, you just never know. Yeah. And so some of it you really parang leave up to luck and prayer and divine intervention, and then hopefully the preparation will be enough to get you through it.
Alam nyo, ano yan, Boyet, sabi nga ni Boom, nauna lang kami, kaya nga maputi ng buhok ko. At saka, nakikita mo hanggang ngayon, makapal pa rin yung notes ko.
See, that's what I mean. Kita mo hanggang ngayon. Com Nolly will be in a position probably not to do these things anymore, but he does it. And if bago tayo, before we get off your show, I wanna thank you. I always say this to you when I see you in the UAP. Diba, when halftime lumalapit ako sa'yo, I always say thank you. There are people who have helped me along the way. From 20 years ago, you brought me from the PBL to the PBA on a gentleman's agreement, walang kontrata. You asked Commissioner Chino asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said, if you say yes, I'll go to the PBA with the PBL, do it at the same time. You trusted me, so I want to say that publicly. I say that to you in private when we would see each other in the UAP, but you pushed me to another level, and then obviously open doors for me. So I want to say that publicly. Salamat.
Hindi ako nagkamali sa inyo dalawa.
Bago magsalita yung taong ginigisa natin, sasabayan na kita bukas. Also, Ayala publicly, because for many years when he was commissioner, he gave us a lot of opportunities in the PBA. I was both part of the broadcast panel as well as nabigyan ako ng pagkakataon maging barker. Hindi madaling trabaho yun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trabaho yun. Respetuhin niyo po yung mga barker sa PBA dahil hindi po madaling trabaho yan. katulad ng hindi madali maging referee. And Noli, my friend, my co-baby boomer, I want to thank you for giving people like me opportunities that opened even more doors for us as we go along this road called life. Thank you,
Guys, alam nyo, hindi ako nagkamali. You know, you're the people that continue to impress me. Talaga naman. And I want to cut it there. I just want to thank you really for all the work you've done.
Salamat.
For what you've done. And talking about your work, ang dami nyo na nagawang interview, ang dami nyo na. Who was the most intriguing personality? Most interesting personality? And also the most difficult? I'll start with you, Boom, very quickly.
Intriguing kasi, my work when I was tied in with the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, for 7 years was truly amazing. I was exposed to a lot of athletes, both here and internationally, when I was assigned to host for them and interview them. And to me, one of my most favorite athletes and moments and interviewees and just time with them was George St. Pierre, who is in the conversation.
Wow.
Yeah, who's in the conversation for greatest of all time in terms of MMA, or at least in the UFC. So I spent a lot of time with him, and that's the beauty of it. Hindi lang yung on-cam stuff, interview stuff. We ate together. I watched him train. We traveled the country together. So, and we had a lot of conversations, even in the club. When we take out these athletes, great conversations that are priceless. As compared to, let's say, some of the superstar NBA athletes that I've been blessed enough to interview, like, the LeBrons, the Kobe's, and KD's, and Paul George's. Kasi it's a little more controlled. As you know, they have a whole PR machine, publicity machine behind them, and there's certain, constrictions really when it comes to them. So that's why with the UFC fighters, it was more free, So intriguing, favorite, those moments. But regardless, I mean, you never dream about these things. Swerte ka na.
Swerte talaga.
So blessed, yeah.
Ako, lahat naman ng interview mahirap eh. Mahirap pag hindi ka naghahanda. Pero alam nyo, mga kaibigan, the most interesting subjects to interview are subjects that are willing to be interviewed. For those that are not willing to interview, then it becomes difficult.
Marami yan, di ba?
Case in point is my experience with Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo, he was a difficult subject for me because he was very, very timid. He was not very open as far as talking with local media was concerned. He kept to himself. Pero you just have to find those little bits of information that will trigger them to open up. And for me, the issue was music. I knew what he wanted to listen to. Then I started from there.
Ikaw pa naman, music.
Music. So, talagang ganun eh. Nachichempo eh. Ang pinakamasarap na interview ko, and I think as time went by on these numerous visits to Manila, it became easier for him, was Kobe Bryant. The more he came to the Philippines, the more he understood us, the more he understood the culture, the more he was open to talking with all of us that were in media. He was fun to talk to. Kasi ikaw mismo, as the interviewer, ikaw ni susuko eh. Ikaw ni sabi, ikaw ni gaganon eh. Another nice interview was Felipe Massa. Felipe Massa.
Yung driver.
Okay. Bakit masaya si Felipe Massa? Ang secret love na sport ni Felipe Massa ay basketball.
Talaga. Very interesting.
Love LeBron James. And love LeBron James.
Alam nyo, I know that you have a lot of things that you did. Ang dami nyo nakausap. I have a lot of questions about that, but we're running out of time. But I want to ask you about the things that you weren't able to do. Do you feel already, I know that you'll find another job. I know that you'll be back on the air very soon. I know that because that's how talented the two of you are. Pero meron pa kayong bagay na hindi pa nagagawa sa inyong career as sports broadcasters na sa tingin nyo hindi pa kompleto? Or if hindi na kayo makapagtrabaho again, you'll say, I'm done. I'm complete as a sports broadcasters. Boom.
Well, I said this just last night to a friend of mine. If I walk away now, if it all ends for me, this is like Vince Carter style, and you're forced to retire from sportscasting right now. I have a lot to be thankful for. I'm blessed, so I'm truly lucky. I'm not complaining about anything, and I made a lot of friends in the 2 decades that I've been a sportscaster. So from that standpoint, I'm very lucky, super happy. But if I may, not something that I want to do. I've been able to do a lot, suerte, leagues and all that, but maybe a do-over. Is that possible? Can I answer it that way?
Wow, yeah.
Because when you asked Chino to bring me to the PBA, and I did both the PBA and the PBL at that time, and I was very young, the 2 years that I spent in the PBA and were, to me, did a poor job, in my opinion, at least, in my opinion. And maybe because I'm young, I was starstruck with the people I was working with, Tommy Manotoc, Norman Black, Kinito, and all of these guys. And I'm this, newbie. And I got great encouragement, obviously, from you, from Ed Picson, to keep getting better. And when I look back at that time, I really, cringe-worthy sa akin eh. I mean, I wasn't proud of my work there, and I wish I could have a do-over in that sense to do better. But I also understood I was a baby and I'm trying to get better. I was still very lucky to have been able to do the PBA at such a young age while doing the PBL at the same time and doing radio at the same time. So lucky, but if I could answer it that way, that would be my answer, because it's not the best part of my career.
You would be a fresh welcome to the PBA for sure. Boyet?
Thank you.
Ako, maybe I will also say that if given the chance, why not? But as fate would have it, I've already done what I've dreamed of doing. But getting better is always a process. It's a continuing process. If Boom and I are given the chance to once again be in front of the cameras and call the game, it will be something that we will cherish even more now. Even more now. Lalo-lalo na ngayong mga kaibigan na, ilan na, 4 na buwan na po kaming hindi nakakapag-tawag ng laro. In Boom case, 4 na buwan. Ako, mas matagal pa. Pero para sa atin lahat, ang sports ay isang napaka-importanting bagay sa atin. Hindi lang sa pangangatawan, kundi sa pag-iisip. Dahil for many of us, it's a lifestyle. Bahagi na ng ating pagkatao. So, para sa inyo naglalaro at para sa amin na tumatawag na laro, pare-pareho lang tayong nangungulila sa ngayon. But if given a chance to go back on camera and do one thing that I want to do, which I haven't done, is say, mga kaibigan, ako po si Boyet Sison, and this is the 2020 Olympics.
Wow.
All
Why not?
coverage.
Always dream big. Always dream big. Yeah.
Alam nyo,
2024.
Boyet, Boom, as we always say, athletes bring the best out of broadcasters, just as broadcasters bring the color and the life to their achievements. And you have been always the color and the life for many of the athletes. Kaya ako nagpapasalamat sa inyo. I know we will see each other down the road for sure. But thank you anyway for this morning, for sharing with us your experiences. And of course, we pray that everything turns out well for the two of you. Maraming salamat, Boom. And Boyet, we'll see you again. We'll see you again.
Take care. Stay safe.
Mabuhay ka.
Maraming salamat. Yan po mga kaibigan, si Boom Gonzales at si Boyet Sison, mga kaibigan natin. And of course, we're wishing them all the best. All right, at this point, before we end, we have about a minute and a half to go. Gusto ko pong i-announce ang ating mga winners ng ating Power and Play Pajak Give Back Project ng Power and Play, mga kaibigan. Ating pajak para sa pagbangon, bisikleta, alay sa iyo. Ang una po nanalo, si Wilma Joy Florendo Eco. Siya po ay taga Makati, humihiling ng bisikleta para sa kanyang asawa na isang security guard. Nanghihiram lamang ng bisikleta para makapasok sa trabaho. Malaking tulong ang bisikleta sa kanilang pamilya upang patuloy na makapasok sa trabaho ang kanyang asawa at matustusan ang pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya at maintenance ng kanilang anak na isang special child. Ang kanya pong sports idol ay si Mark Pingris. Congratulations ka kay Wilma Eco, makakatanggap ka ng isang bisikleta mula sa Power and Play. At ang pangalawa pong tatanggap ng bisikleta ngayong linggong ito ay si Ermelo Guelios. Ermelo Guelios mula sa Tondo, Manila. Siya po ay nakatira malapit sa Smoky Mountain. Isang pahinante kung minsan bodigero, messenger at janitor. Naglalakad po siya ng 1.5 oras araw-araw papunta sa kanyang trabaho sa Quezon City. Kaya malaki daw tulong po para sa kanya ang bisikleta para maibsan ang pagod sa paglalakad at magkaroon ng extra time sa kanyang pamilya. Ang kanyang sports idol ay si June Limpot. Congratulations, Ermelo Guelios. Makakatanggap po kayo ng text mula sa amin. Abangan nyo po at ipapadala namin ang inyong bisikleta. Konting tulong lamang mula sa Power and Play. Diyan po nagtatapos tayo ngayong araw na ito. Again, marami po salamat sa lahat ng sumabaybay sa atin. At tandaan nyo po lagi, sa lahat ng ating gawain, ad maiorem Dei gloriam. All for the greater glory of God. Happy Sports Weekend, mga kapatid!